Hey everybody, this is Kennedy Hawk from the MCM team, and we're going to continue our deck building one-on-one series, this time talking all about salad decks. So let's get underway and figure out what these are all about. Reviewing this series, what we're talking about in this series is different types of deck construction. There was a really cool discussion on Discord about how people go about building decks, how they go about tuning them and tailoring them for solo or multiplayer. I decided to get my thoughts down on paper, built a bunch of decks over the weekend, and now I'm recording all these videos to go through a couple different lessons to break it up into some sizable chunks. So previously we talked about burger decks. If you're interested in a burger deck, you should tune into the first video in this series, but today's topic is salad decks. For reference in the future, we'll be talking about smoothie decks, how you tweak your deck recipe, how you tune a deck for solo, one size fits all, or building for a full table when you're building synergy between two decks, and what are some recipe hacks, tips, and tricks. I can almost talk today. So what is deck building? Just a review from last video. What you do in Marvel Champions when you're building a deck is you pick a hero. That hero comes with about 15 cards typically, and those are the sort of core of your deck. That's going to make up almost half your deck right there. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add some aspect cards. You're going to pick an aspect. Here I've picked aggression. You're going to throw those cards into your deck. You're going to add some common cards like resources, maybe some events that synergize with your deck, and maybe some other filler to fill out the deck. And all of a sudden, you can't even see what is in your hero deck anymore. So what we're going through are different methods to organize your thoughts when building your deck. And this time, we're going to talk all about decks that are focused on the hero instead of the aspect. So in this series, I'm going to talk about three types of decks. Burger decks, what we talked about last time, that's where aspect cards are the meat of your meal, right? You're not eating a brioche burger. You're eating a Hawaiian barbecue bacon burger on a pretzel bun, right? So the pretzel bun is your hero, and those aspect cards are the meat of that meal. Today, we're going to talk about salad decks, where the hero cards are kind of like the leafy greens in your salad, and you put some cheese, maybe some tomatoes, peppers, croutons, whatever you put into your salad on top to sort of enhance that flavor or go along the ride with it. Next, we're going to talk about smoothie decks, and that's going to be a healthy blend of all three types of cards, but we'll get to that in the future. Just as a disclaimer, this isn't the only way to categorize decks. This is just how I'm distinguishing decks for this series. We're going to go through, talk about the steps to building a salad deck, along with a Captain Marvel deck that goes with it, just like last time we built a Captain Marvel burger deck. And then we're going to do a live deck build at the end, again on Marvel CDB, where we're building a deck that really focuses on a hero. All right, so we are going to get underway talking about salad decks. So in a salad deck, in this type of deck, the hero is like the leafy greens in the salad. Americano would tell me to eat my veggies, but this really works, wow, typo, with almost all aspect and hero pairings, right? You can really, that's the joy of Marvel Champions, is most heroes are made to be self-sufficient. They're made to be kind of well-rounded, not looking at you, Hulk and Hawkeye maybe, but looking at a lot of characters. They can kind of sustain and be there on their own, and everything else is kind of, in the background, like the blurred background behind me. So these are commonly observed by decks that, ultra go into deck thinning, decks of heroes that have heroes with a pushed kit, right? With Doctor Strange, you can basically bring your 15 Doctor Strange cards, your invocation deck, and then 25 of whatever you want, and you're going to feel like you're playing Doctor Strange because you don't have a reason to play other cards. A lot of times event-driven heroes are pulled to this because they have a lot of cards that stay in your deck. You're not having things stick to the board, so you're constantly drawing and playing those cards. At the same time, builders can feel that way, like Iron Man, right? Once you're set up and running, you're basically just spamming Iron Man events and using all your upgrades, and you really feel like Iron Man with a couple extra things in the background. So all sorts of heroes and aspects can fit into a salad deck. What you're going to do first is you're going to pick a hero and look at their kit. You're going to look through their kit. Like here, I'm going to look at Captain Marvel, right? She obviously has a lot of card draw, so she's going to be able to get to her cards quickly. But I don't want to just pick any, wilted head of lettuce. I'm going to really look into that hero kit and pick a couple cards from it that I really want to focus on. Maybe I really want to focus on Crisis Interdiction, Photonic Blast, and using energy absorption to spam those Photonic Blasts to deal damage and draw more and more cards. Card draw, card draw, card draw. That's like the key to Captain Marvel, right? Maybe not a rush Captain Marvel deck, but a Captain Marvel deck that once it's up and running is just pumping out damage and drawing cards. So next, I'm going to find some fixins and add some flavor to really enhance that hero kit. So what are some things that are going to let me enhance this idea of drawing a ton of cards and spamming Photonic Blast and Energy Channel and things like that? So I'm looking into the Justice aspect to grab things like One Way or Another, right? This enhances a lot of Captain Marvel's cards. It's going to draw you more cards, so you can draw into Photonic Blast and Energy Absorption. It's going to bring out another side scheme, so if you do get to play Crisis Interdiction, you know you're getting full value once you have the aerial trade out, so that's that's really cool. We're going to bring Global Logistics, because that's going to let us look at the top of our deck. A lot of times in solo, this is used to look at the villain deck, but here we're going to use it to look at Captain Marvel's deck, discard the cards we don't want, and get to the cards we do want faster. Since we're running Shield, we'll bring Monica and some surveillance teams, so we're always able to supply Global Logistics with some exhaustion. So next, we're going to add our salad dressing. This is usually what the basic cards are, right? They're kind of marrying these ingredients together. So you're going to add your basic resources. Maybe since we're going with this shield, we're going to add a couple of shield allies and things like that to sort of congeal these two globs that we tried to throw together. And then at the end, we're going to put some crunch into our deck. These are just kind of the things that got to be there so you can get to the minimum deck size. So here I'm usually putting in cards for deck thinning or card draw, things that are going to let me get to those hero cards faster or more efficiently or enhance those hero cards. But that's really more of a like the peppers and tomatoes and stuff in your salad. So here I'm putting in like Endurance and Honorary Avenger, maybe a Skilled Investigator that's going to help me draw and help me thin my deck. I'm not putting in cards that are just there for the sole purpose of deck thinning, right? Putting in a 0-cost card that's blank isn't very good for you. But plus 1 HP for getting a card out of your deck is a big advantage. Plus 3 HP for getting a card out of your deck and spending a resource, also pretty good. So you're putting cards in here that are going to accelerate your game, but also not just make it so you're spending the entire first 2 deck passes dumping things on the board. It will feel like that a little bit, but you got to get those crunchy bits out of the way. All right, so let's go through this Captain Marvel Turbo Time deck. We wanted to focus on Photonic Blast, Crisis Interdiction, and Energy Absorption. So that's 8 cards in our deck right away that we want to see a ton of. If we're going to focus on Crisis Interdiction, we're also going to want a Cosmic Flight in play, but we know we can get 2 of those in play, so that's 10 cards out of our deck, along with the rest of Captain Marvel's kit is going to get us up to 15. So now we're going to add some of those tomatoes, some of those peppers. We're going to bring those one way or another, and Global Logistics, so we can draw a ton of cards and make sure the cards we're drawing are the cards we want to see. Obviously, we need some shield support to go along with Global Logistics, so we bring along Monica. She's kind of two-purpose here. She's going to help us with Global Logistics. She's going to help us clear any side schemes that come out with one way or another, and the whole purpose of all of that is to enhance our hero kit. And then at the end of the day, that's 4 cards of deck thinning, right? So you got 10% of your deck out of the way, and they're helping you out with your strategy. Seems like a win-win. We're probably going to include a little bit more shield just so we're not banking just on Monica and Surveillance Team. But hey, there's some great basic allies, some salad dressing we can add that is going to enhance this hero kit even further, right? Mockingbird can exhaust for Global Logistics. We can get Nick Fury out to draw more cards. We're all about card draw. And Agent 13 is even going to enhance our hero kit further looking at Alpha Flight Station. So now we can use Alpha Flight Station twice to cycle our deck even faster, or an Alter Ego form to, gain 2 card advantage. Obviously, basic resources. Honestly, when I was building this, I thought about cutting Strength and Genius and just getting some more upgrades out of the way. But in the end, I wanted to make sure I could get those Cosmic Flights and Captain Marvel's helmets and stuff out of the way. So I did include all the double resources. All right, and now we're into our crunch. So what I put in for my crunch here, I put in 3 copies of Skilled Investigator. I'm assuming that this is a multiplayer deck. You could change the balance of these cards if this is a solo deck. Maybe bring 1 Skilled Investigator and 3 Clear the Area. I brought 1 Endurance and 2 copies of Honorary Avenger because I can get that Endurance on myself, throw an Honorary Avenger on myself, and maybe even on Agent 13 to get her a little bit more time doubling up. I put a Plan B in there because you are going to draw into some dead cards that aren't your hero kit, and if you really want to focus on the hero kit, just turn them into damage. Can't hurt. And then I have 1 copy of Clear the Area, again, to help me draw cards faster. So when we look at this and we look at kind of like our final form of what this could turn into, there's 18 cards we could get that stick to the board, right? In our final form, if we had Monica, Agent 13, Mockingbird, all those surveillance teams, basics, supports, all sorts of crazy things down. I think I had a Quinn carrier in there somewhere that I added eventually when I cut to 1 Clear the Area. You could get 18 cards on the board. Your deck is then 22 cards thick, and 8 of those cards are cards you want to draw into. Photonic Blast, Crisis Interdiction, and Energy Absorption. We might even add Energy Channel to that and say 10 of those 22 cards are cards you want in your hand. So if you're drawing 5 cards and you're able to cycle 1 with Captain Marvel, and you're able to, cycle another one with Skilled Investigator, or maybe 4 more because you one way or another and then used Skilled Investigator, all of a sudden you're looking at drawing 10 to 12 cards when 10 of the 22 cards are cards you want. You're drawing what you want every turn. So everything that's kind of left in our deck, one way or another, is going to draw us cards. Clear the Area is going to draw us cards. Global Logistics is going to let us get bad cards out of the way. Nick Fury obviously draws us cards, although he's going to have to swap in and out with Monica. Spider-Woman, same deal. She's going to have to swap in and out, but she lets us flip down, which gives us even more card draw with Carol. And our resources are obviously going to pay for our Photonic Blast and Crisis Interdictions. So this is a pretty cool deck setup. I encourage you to try it out. I mean, it takes a while to fiddle fart around and not beat the villain with Captain Marvel naturally. But if you're playing in a multiplayer game against a really heavy HP villain, someone like Thanos, you can get pretty far into the game, thin your deck, even if you don't get all 18 of those cards out of the way. Say you only get 15 out and there's 25 cards left in your deck, you're still pretty happy if half your deck is the cards you want to draw into to really bring out that crunchy salad flavor. So, just as a reminder, salad decks, they're kind of the opposite of a burger deck. Burger deck, you're focusing on those aspect cards and how to enhance those. Here, every aspect card we've included is basically something that's trying to support a hero strategy. Instead of the hero sort of trying to push the aspect cards a little bit further, we're looking at it from the opposite lens. You're going to pick a hero, pick your favorite couple cards in that hero that you want to focus on, because if you try to focus on all 15, it's just going to not function very well. Find whatever flavors you want to add, whether it's tomatoes, cherry peppers, whatever, cherry tomatoes, and bell peppers. That's what I was trying to say. Add some cards that are going to enhance and help you get to those cards faster. Don't forget to bring your salad dressing along. That's your basic cards that are going to kind of help every deck function, whether that's Avengers Mansion for you or that's basic resources for you. Figure out what that is. And then top it off with some crunch. And crunch is usually deck thinning and then maybe some assess the situations or something that helps you get to those hero cards faster. So next, we're going to do a live deck build on Marvel CDB. I will get the browser switched over, and we'll get underway. Hey everybody, it's Kennedy Hawk from the MCM team, and we are going to continue this salad deck building video with a live deck build using another core set hero, Black Panther. In this deck building series, we're going over all different ways to get your mental frame while you're creating your decks for Marvel Champions, and the salad deck is all about wanting to get to that end game where you're just playing hero cards and focusing on everything that your hero can do. We're going to do that with core set Black Panther. So let's get underway. What we're going to try to do is get to the point where we can play all 5 Wakanda Forevers in one turn with all 4 Black Panther upgrades in play, basically just winning the game by spamming Wakanda Forever. We're going to do that with the leadership aspect using a really handy event called Strength in Numbers. So this is where we're adding our peppers to our nice leafy greens, the Black Panther. So we've got Strength in Numbers, which is exhaust any number of allies you control to draw 1 card for each ally exhausted this way. This is going to let us cycle our deck really fast looking for those Wakanda Forevers. But we're going to try to get to the point where just about every turn we play 5 Wakanda Forevers and trigger them all. And how we're going to do that is by getting 6 allies onto the board. And I'm going to focus on allies that give me card draw. So I'm talking about Kalu, who when he enters play is going to search out one of those Wakanda Forevers. Shuri, obviously going to get us card draw by finding a upgrade. Maria Hill, obvious card draw is obvious. We're going to go ahead and add White Tiger. More card draw is more card draw. And we're going to add Ironheart. And then we can get to 6 allies if we use Stinger, because Stinger does not count against your ally limit. So you've got 5 allies that get you a card advantage, and 1 that's going to get you to that 6th ally slot so that Strength in Numbers can read exhaust your board, draw 6 cards, which just about anybody will take any day. At this point, we've got to sort of, add some dressing, some glue to merge this sort of like subcategory of leadership that's set up there to support Black Panther to our deck. So we know we need to add the Triskelion because we need to increase our ally limit as much as possible. Under basics, we're probably going to go ahead and add Avengers Tower, and that means we're also going to add Honorary Avenger. There's a lot of cards here in the deck builder at this point in life. Alright, so Triskelion just flat out increases your ally limit by 1. Avengers Tower is going to increase it by 1 if all your allies have the Avenger trait. So Kalu, check. Shuri, not check. Maria, not check. Ironheart, not check. Stinger, check. White Tiger, check. So we need 3 copies of Honorary Avenger. But again, that's just more deck thing. That just helps us get to more Honorary, or not more Honorary Avengers, more Wakanda Forevers at the end of our game. Alright, so we're up to 28 cards, which is pretty low. We're going to continue adding some crunch, and I'm going to add some basic resources, I think. So I'm going to add Energy, Genius, and Strength. We're up to 30. We do have a lot of resources. I think I'm actually going to take that back. I'm just going to add Energy and Strength. And to add a little bit more of that crunch or this salad dressing that's really going to support our Black Panther, we're going to go ahead and add 6 copies of the enhanced resources. So this does multiple things. You can always play an enhanced resource and it's going to thin your deck. And they're resource neutral, right? You're spending 2 resources plus a card, so usually 3 resources, to generate 3 resources over time. The nice thing is at the end of this game, we want to have just these events and resources in our hand. Nothing's going to cost more than 1. So all of these double resources, you end up burning a resource on if you use them for Wakanda Forever. But if instead we have used them on one of these earlier, now we're not wasting that resource. We're just able to play a Wakanda Forever or pay for it 3 turns in a row, which is really, really powerful. So I'm putting 6 of those enhanced ins. You can play this to taste, maybe take one of these down and bring that third double resource back in. But this is the way I've been playing it, and I've been pretty happy with it so far. All right, we're at 36 cards. We need a little bit more, glues here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab an Avengers Mansion. I guess we can always use an Endurance if we need to thin our deck just a little bit more. These aren't superpowers or anything, so we don't need a Deft Focus. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and add 2 copies of Assess the Situation. That's going to help us cycle to things faster and smooth out our hand at the end of the game. If we don't draw into a Strength or a Wakanda Forever, we can make sure we do on the next turn. It can also be useful early on with Kalu to make sure we're hitting events and to make sure we're drawing into enough resources to play all of our allies and all of our Black Panther pieces. Now this is where it's a little bit weird. When you build these decks, right, I'm calling this a salad deck, and there's a lot of non-hero cards in my deck. That's just how deck building in Marvel Champions works. You're going to have 15 hero cards and 25-ish non-hero cards. So to make those hero cards feel like they're the focus, you really have to play the deck a little bit differently, but also think about it a little bit differently while deck building. Here, every card I've included in my deck is here to support Black Panther cards, and that's why I would classify this as a salad deck. Now, strength in numbers might be the star of the deck, and the 6 allies sitting on the board might be, the stars, but in my mind, they're just little resources that say exhaust me to draw a Black Panther card, and that's what I want them to be. So when you're playing this deck, it's a little bit interesting. I've seen a lot of people say once you get 2 Black Panther upgrades down, you may as well start playing Wakanda Forevers because they're super efficient, and that is true. In this deck, I tend to focus on playing my allies to the board first, because that's basically, in my mind, just playing a resource generator that helps me get those Black Panther upgrades onto the board using strength in numbers. So I'd say by the end of my first deck pass, I usually try to have 4 allies on the board and 2 to 3 Black Panther upgrades. Maybe the other way around, maybe all 4 Black Panther upgrades and 2 to 3 allies, but I prefer it the other way around because then strength in numbers helps you round over round, draw into more things, get those upgrades down, and then go wild. There are a lot of basic cards in here, so you may consider putting in, Power in All of Us. That's going to hit Mansion, that's going to hit Tower, that's going to hit all of these enhanced resources. I found that the double energy and double strength worked a little bit better because they helped with White Tiger, Maria, and Kalu. But in your end game, you're definitely just spamming those. Ultimately, it's just, a 2 for 2, so you're going to be fine either way. So this is my Black Panther salad deck example. Boom. We are ready to go. Saved. We will put this in the description of the YouTube video. So I would love to hear comments and feedback from you all. What is your favorite hero to make into a salad deck? What cards do you use to really emphasize the hero instead of emphasizing the aspect cards in your deck? And what are your favorite salad decks that you've played? List them below so I can try them out. And thanks for tuning in. So have a great day.